Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so Lakers. I want to talk about them again, second night in a row. It's not as late as I did last time, so hopefully we'll get some sleep. But I was listening to a couple podcasts on the Lakers just now, and listening to JJ Redick's his latest statements, and it sounds like he kind of toned down some of his energy that he had after the Christmas Day massacre. I think that he was listening to some of the feedback and the commentary, and he doesn't want to lose the locker room. It's okay to be frustrated. It can be good when you display passion for winning and frustration with losing. We ain't asking him to run around here and be a robot in that regard, or act as if nothing phases him. But you just, sometimes when you do it, it can work with certain units. Other times when you display a certain frustration and calling people out in the media, it can lose you the locker room with certain units. And I don't know what unit this is, but I do know we have LeBron James on this team, and a lot of what could be applied to JJ's frustration could be LeBron James's approach to, I guess, the Christmas Day game. I personally thought that he played okay. I think he's been carrying this team. He was the best player on the floor in the Clipper game, and I thought he had been playing well. But how much do you want out of the guy who's going to be 41 like 2 days? How much you want out of him? And that's really what I want to say. I just don't think you can expect LeBron to do all the dirty work stuff. I don't think you can expect for him to be a monster rebounder. It takes a certain level of energy to do the Draymond thing, so to speak. And we kind of need him to do that. But, if I'm being honest, I need other guys to kind of step up in those ways. And I also need our coach to put players on the floor who can complement LeBron in those ways so he doesn't have to do those things. Rather than ask the 40-year-old legend who has more minutes played and more games played and more points scored than anybody else has ever played to do all the little things to help your team get over the hump against teams that they're not constructed to beat in the first place on Christmas Day. I just don't think that this is the time to really kill him for not being willing to do those things. I think you gotta ask somebody else. Now, of course, JJ didn't specify he was angry at LeBron James in any way, or pointing his frustrations at LeBron James. I think I'm listening to other people's commentary, and based on what they said, they sense, or what they understand, this is what their opinion was. So, I want to make sure that my statement aligns with that being what I feel as well. I don't know that JJ was talking about Bron at all. But what I can say is Bron was the one who was slacking on a lot of plays, and JJ definitely was calling out what he felt were choices that people were not choosing to play defense, not choosing to do the little things. And I think you would apply that to LeBron and a few other guys as well. So I think LeBron is more likely to be capable of doing those things than some of the other guys who didn't do them. You talk about Rui Hachimura, who's not going to do those things like that. Talk about Luka Doncic, who tends to be hit or miss in those areas, So, yeah, you play only like 7 or 8 guys most of the game. It's going to boil down to, one of those players or several of those players that you're talking about in this situation. Whatever the case may be, JJ seemed to have kind of walked some of that back, in my opinion. He said that he addressed everything that needed to be addressed, and when he was saying he wanted his practices to be uncomfortable, this particular practice to be uncomfortable, it didn't mean that he was going to try to run people into the ground. It was just that, they were going to have to speak on what was going on down there in that Christmas Day game and just address everything. So he said that was done. And we'll see if it has the results necessary for tomorrow's game against the Kings. I believe that game's at 6:30 p.m. here at Crypto.com Arena. And, of course, I'll have the pregame video for you tomorrow morning. All that stuff should be on schedule. I told my uncle that I wouldn't be up for going to church tomorrow. I just ain't going to be able to do it, so that'll allow me the availability to kind of keep work my regular schedule in regards to the Lakers. So that will be what you can expect from me tomorrow, unless something changes drastically, which as of right now, I don't see that being the case. So I did watch all the highlights on the Kings. I think I found the answer in regards to when I watch videos on YouTube, highlights or what have you, why I was having such terrible blurry issues. I think I fixed that. So hopefully going forward that won't be an issue, and I can kind of lay eyes on these games in a way that it's supposed to be seen when you watch highlights. Because for the last week and a half, as I've been telling you guys, I haven't been able to really see much of anything in regards to those highlights. I've been watching blurry characters running back and forth, barely being able to make out who it is. So yeah, tried to do the homework, but that was as good as it was going to get. So hopefully that situation is fixed now. I did watch clear highlights of this Kings Dallas game today, and the Kings won the game, man. Russell Westbrook's playing some of the best ball he's played in a while. I know Keegan Murray is out, in and out of the lineup usually, but he will be out tomorrow. Of course, Sabonis is out as well, but the Kings got some guys, man. Maxime Ronaldo, this rookie is starting to rank. He's starting to, shoot up in the rankings in the absence of Sabonis, and he really, really has a great interior package. He has all types of moves and footwork and stuff like that. So, teardrops that he barely misses. He's energetic. You're gonna have to deal with this kid. He's another hub of their offense to where they can just get him the ball, sort of like we do DeAndre Ayton, and just get high efficiency out of him and stuff like that. So if we're not prepared for a much improved Kings team, we're going to get our butts whooped. The other rookie they have is also starting to play a little better. Nick Clifford is starting to slowly but surely get worked into the equation. With Murray out, you'll see a lot of him. And, DeMar DeRozan's having a big season. Statistically, he's dropping points, man. He's been a great fantasy player for me this year, as usual. And he doesn't look like he's lost too much that pertains to his productivity right now. So this is a team that is playing better. They have been losing games, but they've been closer games, and they have now a one-game winning streak going into our situation tomorrow. Of course, playing off a back-to-back, but the game was at 2:00 today, so they probably were able to get the rest they needed after they got off the plane or whatever to Los Angeles. And we'll probably get more rest tomorrow. So I don't know, man. This Sacramento game, a lot of people think just because it's the Kings, you're supposed to win. But the way we're playing versus the way they're playing, I don't necessarily know that we're even favorites to win this basketball game tomorrow, if I'm being real with you guys, especially with the absence of Austin Reeves having to work those rotations. I don't know what we're going to look like tomorrow. I know JJ is getting a lot of pressure from some of the talking heads to basically remove Rui from the lineup. It makes sense from a defensive perspective, given all the circumstances we have going on. But now, with Austin being removed, I wonder if that changes the need for a player like Rui to make scoring things happen. And that's what I mentioned on my rant last night, or my video rather last night. And Rui's going to have to step up and score for us, man. We can't have no more bagels or 9-point Rui games. We need him to score probably over 17 points a night for us to really be as competitive as we hope to be. But in order for that to be the case, you got to feature him, and then you got to live with the results of having him on the floor, which also takes away from certain things. So I'm a little concerned about what this Laker team's going to look like tomorrow. I just think this is the absolute worst time to remove a guy like Austin Reeves from your situation when your team is struggling. To begin with, we're just trying to work him back into the equation after having him out for a week, and now we got him out for a month, and it's just like, continuity wise, this is about as big of a nightmare as it's going to get. And I don't know how well Luka's gonna feel tomorrow, because he looked like he wasn't doing too well at the end of the game against the Rockets as well. So I'm just like, look, you guys, if the Lakers don't win tomorrow, or if we don't look very good tomorrow, I will not be overly surprised, because we're really on a 3-game stretch. It's not fake. It's a real 3-game problem there, where we can't seem to get victories. We can't string together 3 good defensive, possessions in a row. Our offense is putt-putting around. We're highly Luka-centric. And Luka's not playing great ball right now. You know, Luka's got a brand new baby at home, a newborn. And though I'm not a father, I've heard enough stories, I've seen enough in my life to know that when you have a newborn, you don't really get a lot of sleep at night. That baby gonna come wake you up at 3 in the morning. And obviously when you're as wealthy as Luka, you would think they have, caregivers or babysitters or whatever, people that can handle that for you. But some parents, even when you're wealthy as he is, still want to be hands-on. Your wife looking at you like you got to go over there and check on the baby. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So I just wonder if Luka's not really all that 100% because he's just focused on, the baby scenario. Not only his newborn, but also, he's got another baby as well, another toddler. So it's like, he's got his hands full off the court. And people who are saying he doesn't look like he's in shape and all of this, I'd imagine it's been a lot going on, man. So with him not being 100% healthy, I know people are saying, oh, he looks like he's starting to gain weight and all of that. He's going to have to, continue to work on his diet. Because you can work out hard as heck during the summertime, but if you don't change your eating habits, and let's say you have to stop working out because of injury, but you're still eating the same way, you still drink a beer or whatever, your body's going to go the other way quickly, man. I say that from experience because I used to be that way. I didn't change my diet, but I worked out really hard. But it seemed like when I take maybe 3 or 4 days off of working out, my body would feel like hell when it's time to go back to the exercise. And it was because I was eating poorly. When you have, fat boy eating habits, you got to really work that discipline, that you got to change your lifestyle there to assure that your body can stay in shape when you don't necessarily find yourself able to work out because of injury and stuff like that. So I think that's probably part of it. He's probably still eating kind of like he used to, maybe cut some things back, but didn't cut some things out. And if you see a change in his diet, you probably see him stay in shape longer, even through a rolled ankle or a pull growing or something like that. So that's really the thing. If you have them fat boy habits, man, eating habits, it's gonna hurt you when you roll an ankle. But he's going to have to make that lifestyle change in order to be the player that we need him to be, to lead our team in the way that we need it. And it's going to be incumbent upon us as a unit, organization, to bring the players in that complement him. I've been listening to people, anytime the Lakers struggle, there's always going to be some people who want to make drastic changes. People talking about trading Luka for, just stuff like that. And of course, I would never agree to that. When you have a top 3 player in the NBA, you aren't the problem. He isn't the problem. You are, basically. If you can't build around him, then that's a sign of your deficiencies. Whatever he brings to the table, we need to be able to put the stuff around him that can more or less complement him and do the things that he can't do. And if we're not doing that, then that's our fault. It ain't his. He's a top 3 guy. You know what I mean? He's going to be able to lead you, but you got to put the stuff around him that works. And Dallas showed us what that looks like. Lob threat centers, shot blockers, Kyrie like role, second fiddle guy or whatever, however you say it, sidekick, and perimeter defensive players, man. You got to construct your team properly around Luka Doncic, or you're going to be exposing his weaknesses, and it's trouble. And right now we have a roster that exposes his weaknesses. We need him to do more than what he's capable of doing, and that's not good. And our play style, man, I understand when you have a superstar, you want to give him the green light. But there was a stat that stood out to me. It's like he's one of the worst percentage three-point shooters with heavy volume in all of basketball. That's a play style issue. This player can do a lot of different things. We don't have to put the ball in his hands and tell him to just launch threes with the green light. You got to run more plays to have him expose his playmaking ability, to get other people involved. Some of those possessions, JJ's going to have to cut off. We're going to have to get higher percentage looks. That was my largest complaint about the Christmas Day game. While everybody was talking about, how we weren't rebounding the ball well. That's the best rebounding team in years, this Rocket squad. You're not going to rebound as well that night. We couldn't play defense. You're going up against people that are twice as fast as you. You're probably not going to be able to defend them like that. Those were things that were, in my opinion, in that matchup, outside of our control. The things that I thought were within our control were what type of shots we take, the quality of looks, generating high percentage looks on the offensive end. And I didn't think the Lakers did any good of a job doing that throughout the course of that game. And when you're going up against teams that can beat you in the 50-50 ball areas and the rebounds and are likely going to be more effective in getting easier looks on their end, you can't then on your end, when you had a ball in your hand, take low percentage shots and live with the results. Because when you brick, as you're projected to, they're going the other way to get easy buckets. So I thought that should have been I really genuinely believe that this roster, the offense is the focus. It's not the defense. It's the offense. You got to cater what it is your game plan is against teams like that where you have that many things, disadvantages. You got to control what you can control. We're an offensive team. Generate more positive offensive looks. That's all I'm saying. I don't need long 3-point shots. I don't need us searching for players that aren't good at these particular shots, taking these shots. That's going to just double down on the disadvantage that I have. And I thought that's what we did, and I thought it showed. That's why we were down by 24 at one point in that basketball game. It's because it just kept getting bad looks, living with poor results. They're rebounding the ball as they're supposed to, and they're getting easy buckets on the other end. And so if the Lakers are going to go up against teams they have this many disadvantages against, the one thing that I know they can control is not settling for long 3-point jumpers from shooters that are not very efficient. And that means Luka. We love Luka. We can hit shots. We feel comfortable with him having the ball in his hands. But we have got to organize our offense a lot better to assure that we have higher percentage quality looks more often than we were doing in this 3-game losing streak. And that's what it is. Not every night you're going to have as many disadvantages as we have against the Rockets. But when you play against those teams that you do, you got to really control the controllables. And I don't think we did that on the offensive end as well as we should have. And I ain't heard enough people target that as a means of emphasis because they're too busy trying to focus on the defense, for which we're naturally deficient as a roster, especially if we're going to start Rui next to Bron and Luka. I understand everybody saying they want to change that starting lineup because of things that they cannot do. But the problem isn't what we cannot do. It's that we're not exploiting what they can. That's my problem. If I'm going to play Rui, Austin, LeBron, I know they're going to be minus 13 on the defensive end. They're going to suck defensively. But what I do have is somebody who those 3 players should likely be able to get 10 points each in the quarter by themselves. Rui, if he gets his looks, he going to hit a bunch of them. Austin, LeBron, and Luka are gifted passers and gifted scorers. So lean into what exploits getting all of them involved while they're all on the floor in the areas that they are most good at. And then you find yourself being able to live with what it is they cannot do because you're maximizing what they can. And that's ultimately what it is. I don't see enough of that because when we got those guys on the floor, Luka's got the ball in his hands. He dribbles, and settle for a fall-away 3. Either it falls or it doesn't. We go down on the other end and are faced with all of the things that those guys can't do. It's just how you play with those players. That's really what it comes down to. How are you playing with those players? And if it's only Luka, dribble, take shot, while everybody's standing around, you lose the possession, and then you're going the other way, and now all those issues you got are exploited. For those who want to remove Rui from the starting lineup, I'm with you. I don't have a problem with that. But I also know that we left a lot of meat on the bone as it pertains to what they can do well. You're not focusing on what they can do well. You're living with all of the stuff they cannot do, and then you're labeling it not being able to work. Now, if I see them start to run offensive plays off of one another, getting everybody involved, ball popping around, Rui getting consistent looks, Luka moving the ball around, LeBron moving the ball around, finding others in that trio, then I'm like, all right, well, we may have given up 30 points in there, defensively, we may have sucked a bunch of possessions. But on the offensive end, we got quality looks. We're getting to the line, and we're running the score up. We got 40 points in the quarter. So it's not just that these guys aren't doing certain things. It's that we, in my opinion, aren't showcasing their strengths while they're on the floor. And so we render to just living with what it is they cannot do. And so that's really my thing, man. That's on JJ and that's on Luka. Luka's got to leave some of them possessions alone, man. Some of them long 3 possessions, you have the green light. But it shouldn't be you being happy with taking low percentage shots over and over again, settling and not getting your teammates involved. You are a point guard with hyper passing gifts. You need to start utilizing those hyper passing gifts a bit more and not settling for these long shots to get your numbers. And that's on Luka. Because a lot of what's wrong here is his play style on the offensive end, coupled with his deficiencies in other areas. And when you have players on your team 41 years old, ailing from injuries, guys that only thrived when they shoot the ball, you can't be just taking long jumpers and letting your team live and die with that being your offense, because you're not getting those other guys involved, etc. And so that's really what it is. I don't like the play style, man. I don't like what we're doing on the offensive end at all. I don't like it. I think we are settling too much for Luka. I think Luka is carrying us, but it's to the detriment of the unit, because when he goes down, now we can't find any offense because we haven't been working on it. You know what I mean? We ain't been able to accomplish it on the real floor. And so we're too Luka-centric, and we're a bit, as I mentioned previously in a couple of videos, a bit predictable. And I think Luka's going to have to become a lot more willing to work the ball around from possession to possession. Those walk the ball up, shoot the 35-foot three-point shot, maybe it goes in, maybe it don't possessions, we have to start limiting those a lot more with Austin now out. And do more working the ball around. And so let these guys touch the ball a little bit on each possession. Pop, pop, pop. More passing. Less me ball. So that's what I want to say to Luka, man. If you had the players on your team that did all the dirty work, rebound well and all this stuff, great defenders around you, you could do the Iverson thing. You know, that was the team Iverson had. He had dirty work guys, and it was him for the whole offense. If your team is constructed that way, then you could launch 53s a night by yourself, and everybody would be happy with that. You could score 100 points. The reality is, your team is not functioning that way. You have offensive teammates who need their touches. And if it's only you while they're watching, yeah, you're gonna definitely lose those guys as it pertains to their effort. Hustling and diving and all of that stuff, because they're not getting their touches to exploit their strengths. Especially a guy like LeBron James, who's been doing this for 100 years. You leave him out of the offense, watching somebody else take shots and miss, he ain't going to want to do no dirty work. And I think that's part of the problem. Salute the Kobe minute. I think that's part of the problem. So, yeah. Luka going to have to share the wealth, man. He going to have to share the wealth. Pass the ball, bro. Pass it around. I know you got this easy shot. I know you can shoot over this person. I know you believe in your ability. But the numbers, the percentages are telling us you need to shoot those threes less and work the ball more. 17, 18 assists, maybe 30 points instead of trying to get 45 points on 26 shots. 11 of them being threes and you didn't only hit 3 of them. That crap has to stop, bro. That is bad offense. And if ain't nobody gonna tell him, I'm gonna tell him. That's bad offense. And it's happening too much. So that's what I want to say to Luka. Stop that. Cut that crap out, bro. Move the ball around. And your team is going to thrive more so on the offensive end, we get higher quality percentage looks. We got guys like Ayton and Rui, who are going to make more shots than they miss. But they need Luka to forego some of those long three-point shots to assure that they get their percentages, able to exploit the fact that they can get high percentages, to be exact. And so that's what it is, man. Higher quality looks, and it starts with finding your most efficient players and getting them their ball so they can get those easy looks off, go 6 for 7. And if you have Rui and DA going 6 for 7, then the defense has to hone in on them, and then Luka can start taking those long-range shots with even more space. He can start taking them long-range shots with even more confidence because the defense has to focus on somebody other than him. And you can more demoralize the defense more so by just connecting on more shots. You know what I mean? You're letting the defense off the hook. And that's what Luka needs to understand, man. This is chess, not checkers. Yeah, you can hit a bunch of shots. When you're hot, you can go for 75 points, all 3-pointers. That's cool. But night in, night out, you're going 3 for 10. And that's 7 possessions that we can't afford to throw away when we're not good at making up those possessions in other areas. But we do have 2 players on the floor who are really at their best because they make more shots than they miss. You're the guy that feeds them. It's incumbent upon Luka to see the fruit in making that happen so that everybody stays engaged, so that we don't have players on the floor to do nothing but be weak or show weaknesses out there, rather, and exploiting all their weaknesses and not exploiting their strengths, etc. And so with Austin out, that's even more important. So, yeah, man, and look, I love what I'm seeing from Vanderbilt. I hope the 3 continues to fall. He's been good. Keep him in rotation, and I'm always going to advocate for playing the Rook. I'll do Thero. I just think we're a significantly more capable team in the areas where we're most weak. Just by having him on the floor more of the time, I advocate for him having 18 to 27, 30 minutes a night, bro. Honestly, I would just be extremely comfortable if our coach just uses him a lot. And I'm very concerned, y'all. I'm very concerned about something. And anybody who follows me, some of y'all may be able to guess where I'm going with this. Gabe Vincent, this game time decision tomorrow. And with Austin being out, I'm concerned that this coach is going to try to up Gabe Vincent's minutes just to the sheer nature that Gabe is a guard and Luka and Austin is out. If I have one critique of our GM, it was the Gabe Vincent choice. Just choosing him to begin with, the lack of athleticism and all of that, and then keeping him on his team for the last 3 years, not finding a way to move him. It's one of my biggest frustrations with our roster construction, as you guys obviously know if you follow me. And I don't think we're better right now in his absence. In fact, I think it's obvious we have not been better since he went down. And that even further concerns me that we're going to use him more. Because JJ's going to be like, see, that's why we lost, because we didn't have him down there. Like, that is my biggest concern about what we're going to see going forward. That he's going to put this guy on the floor, play him 25, 30 minutes, and we're going to be even smaller and worse and even more deficient in the areas that we struggle with. Because he can make an argument that we have struggled most when he was out, which is actually the case. It's actually the case. But I don't think he brings a whole lot to the table, as you guys know. I'm not going to elaborate any further on that. See my previous videos. We've talked a lot about this, but I just really, really hate the fact that Austin is out and this guy's coming back, man. I think it's going to be a Gabe Vincent showcase, especially if something happens with Marcus Smart, which is destined to take place if you start him. And we're going to be watching some starting Gabe Vincent games. I predicted within 5 games we'll likely see Gabe start at some point. And it's just going to be what comes of that, man. Lots of running, lots of nothing, lots of people shooting over him. Lots of 0 for 2, 0 for 3 nights. And I'm not looking forward to it at all. So yeah, that's the problem, man. Where our shooting guard situation is really suffering right now. Gabe's right in position to get minutes right out the gate. And I would not be surprised to see Gabe on the floor for 20 minutes tomorrow at the shooting guard spot. Would not be surprised at all. Kobe Buffkin had 41 points in the G League today. I saw the highlights of that. I don't know if a lot of that is translatable to the big leagues or not. I'm not really sure. But I can tell you this. That's something to note. That's something to think about. 41 points for Kobe Buffkin. And talk about whatever you're going to get from Gabe Vincent. There's a guy down there, you know. Anyway, man, that's my point of view. I want the Lakers to weather the storm, man. We got to keep our heads. I thought we were doing a little bit of cracking, as I mentioned many times, since, the Christmas Day situation. I just thought that our attitude as a unit could potentially have been not so good. I was really only hearing from the coach, honestly, so he was the only one. I don't know how the players are taking this, honestly, but, just the aura of what's going on in the conversations around our team is like the sky is falling. And to a point it is with the Austin Reeves injury, but if anything, we just got to refocus and readjust. That's the key. Refocus and readjust. Understand that a lot of what we've been struggling with has to do with the teams we've been going against being able to attack us in areas that we haven't really been able to exploit on the other end by showcasing our strengths. If we lean into our strengths, they can do whatever they do in the areas where we're weak. We'll charge that to the game. But indeed, exploiting our strengths is of the utmost importance, man, the utmost important, in my opinion. So that's pretty much the thought that it comes to mind. Tomorrow, be ready for that Sacramento game, man. And that's a trap game for those who are not paying attention to Sacramento. You ain't about to just run into a bunch of ex-Lakers, and guys who wanted to be Lakers who didn't become Lakers, and think that they're just going to be cool. You know what I mean? DeMar DeRozan, Dennis Schroeder, Russell Westbrook, they're going to want your head, man. All three of them people have a problem with us for whatever reason. You know what I mean? So if you think you're about to just roll over Sacramento, you better understand that they have an influx of players with them rookies that kind of change the DNA of what this team is. Maxime Renaud, he's not a king. You know what I mean? He's the new Kings. He's like, whatever the King's going to be tomorrow, it starts with what he makes it. And so if he's a winner, suddenly the Kings ain't losers no more. You see what I'm saying? That's what it really comes down to. It's the same thing I said about Charlotte and Con Knipple. Man, Charlotte ain't the same Charlotte Hornets no more because now they got this dude in place, and he ain't like them, what they've been for the last however long it's been. He ain't that. He coming in with an entirely different attitude, and he going to take over the franchise and give it a new identity. And that's exactly what's happening there in Charlotte. And I think Maxime Renaud potentially could have that exact same effect with the Kings. So we're going to see him tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Him and Nick Clifford. I really like what the Kings did in the draft. I told people that. For all the wrongness, going on with the Kings, they did great in the draft with those two. And now we're seeing it. Now you're going to start to see what I was talking about with Max Renaud. He ain't like that, man. Whatever you think the Kings are, he ain't that. And you got to deal with him tomorrow. BDL 44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.